Good morning. Good morning. Hello and welcome to Neighborhood Unitarian Universalist Church in Pasadena. Welcome to all members, friends, and guests here in person and virtually. My name is May Colcord and I'm a member of your Board of Trustees. Neighborhood Church creates and grows an inclusive community of faith connected by love, spirit, and service. We acknowledge our presence on the ancestral and unceded territory of the Gabrielino Tongva peoples, the traditional caretakers of the lands and waters of this campus. With respect for the rights and wisdom of Indigenous peoples, we acknowledge our harmful colonial histories and commit to decolonizing our own practices, to learning new ways of being in community, in good relationship with the Indigenous people of this land and with the land itself. Today's service is led by our ministerial candidate, Reverend Dr. Omega Burkhart. I hope many of you got a chance to participate in at least one group event with her this week or chat with her on the patio. Reverend Dr. Omega Burkhart is currently Assistant Minister at the First Unitarian Universalist Church of San Diego, serving their 2 campuses since 2021. She led this congregation, which is slightly larger than Neighborhood, and supervised the staff team on her own for a year and in partnership with several transitional ministers through a period of change and challenge. Prior to San Diego, she served congregations in Rockford, Illinois, and Racine, Wisconsin. Before turning to ministry, Reverend Omega was a director and faculty in a university setting, building valuable experience in program administration, budgeting, training, and evaluation. Reverend Omega received her Master's of Divinity from Meadville Lombard Theological School, where she received the Faculty Award for Religious Leadership. Reverend Omega has been a trustee of the UUA Mid-America region, a trustee of the First Unitarian Church of Milwaukee, and chair of the Midwest Leadership School of the UUA. She currently serves as board member of the Spirit Foundation. Reverend Omega was born in St. Louis, Missouri, and raised in a family of travelers. Her theology is heavily informed by earth-centered spirituality and religious naturalism, Buddhism and Taoist practice, and a humanist understanding of the importance of our interconnection. Reverend Omega is known for her interfaith connection and community building, along with her anti-oppression work in dedication to continuing to create the beloved community. Music for today's service is led by music director Dr. Zenaida Robles, Wells Lang, and the ever lovely NUUC Choir. Please take a moment to silence your devices as we begin our service. Thank you for joining us as we continue to prioritize connection over perfection in this hybrid service, which is streamed and recorded on YouTube. Families with young children are welcome in the sanctuary, the narthex, or in our new family lounge in the living room of Neighborhood House, where the service is live streamed on a big screen. Last Monday, April 24th, vandals burned a pride flag at the Pasadena Buddhist Temple. We stand in solidarity with the temple's congregation and commitment to LGBTQIA+ rights. Please see James Coombs if you would like to be part of our response in support of their community. Today after service, there will be a special congregational meeting to consider and vote to call Reverend Dr. Omega Burkhart as our senior minister, the culmination of months of work in this community. The meeting will be held in person and virtually. Everyone who cares about the ministerial call and is committed to the church as a member is encouraged to be part of the discussion and vote. Guests are also welcome at the meeting. If you are unable to attend, proxies can be completed online or on the patio after service. If you are staying For the vote, and have not already done so, please visit the designated tables outside after service to receive your ballot. The Zoom link for the meeting will be shared on YouTube. I don't think that's true. The Zoom link is in the sorry. The Zoom link is in the newsletter if you're online. The Zoom link is in the newsletter. And following the congregational meeting vote, there will be a celebratory lunch. And finally, next Sunday, May 7th, Pastoral Care is hosting a resource fair. Come learn about independent living, mental health services, dental care, care coordination, caregiver support, and more. Our order of service and more extensive announcements are available as a link in the Sunday email, posted in the narthex, or through the QR code on the back of our hymnal. You can always get more information on these and many other activities at the welcome table. Again, welcome to Neighborhood Church, whoever you are and wherever you are in your spiritual journey. Welcome to this inclusive faith community connected by love, spirit, and service.
Caminante, son tus huellas el camino y nada más. Traveler, your footprints are the road, nothing else. Caminante, no hay camino, se hace camino al andar. Wanderer, there is no one road. You make your own path as you travel. As you travel, you make your own road. We gather this morning to celebrate the journeys, the paths leading us to destinations we could never have dreamed of alone, the paths that bring us home again, and the transformative learning that takes place after the journey has reached its end. Let us celebrate the paths that have led us together, drawing us closer like the lines on life's map that started far apart long ago and now intertwine. We light this chalice this morning, symbol of our shared faith and our shared connections, a wayside marker of journeys and shared purpose, a comforting beacon in the window, respite for the weary, and renewed hope for the adventurer. Come, let us worship together.
In your teal hymnals. Will you please rise in body or in spirit and join us in singing our opening hymn, number 1005, Praise in Springtime. Praise to God and thanks we bring, hearts rejoice and voices sing. Praise to the glorious one, for a year of wonder done. Praise now for the morning rain, April's resurrection seen. Praise now for the shining hours, starring all the land with stars. Praise now for the summer rain, feeding day and night with rain. Praise now for the tiny seed, holding all the world shall need. Praise now for the garden root, meadow grass and orchard fruit, that for hills and valleys broad, bring we now our thanks to God. Praise now for the snowy rest, falling soft on nature's breast, for the happy dreams of birth, rooting in the quiet earth, for this year of wonder done. Praise to thee, O glorious one, hearts rejoice and voices sing. Praise and love and thanks we bring.
Good morning. I'm Matt Vasco, Neighborhoods Director of Spiritual Exploration, and it is a joy to be with you all this morning. This is a very full house. It's very exciting, exciting Sunday. And yet, it is impressive how the front row remains empty. Wow. Well done. Well done. Very impressed. May I have all of the children and youth forward for a story for all ages, please. I have the world's funnest story for you all this morning. It is called Linus, the Little Yellow pencil. He's a pencil who draws lines, and his name is Linus. Look at that. It's amazing. There's a great line in this book where our protagonist has a transformational experience, and someone says to him, "Find your path by drawing it." And I think there's a lot to learn there about our own spiritual paths and our own spiritual journeys, right? Because as we walk along our spiritual path, each step we take reveals the next step to us. As we search out one source, what we learn from that source might lead us to another source and another and another. And that's our story today. There's also a wonderful message in here about silencing our inner critic. And you'll learn a little bit more about that as we go. Linus, the Little Yellow Pencil by Scott Magoon. The family art show. Here it says, enter our family art show in 2 weeks. The family art show was coming up, and only the art with the most heart would win the grand prize. This is Linus, the little yellow pencil. It was his first time entering the contest. And this is Ernie, Linus's eraser. He was pretty hard on Linus. We are not going to win with this drawing, Ernie thought. This is a dinosaur playing guitar, and it says, Tyrannosaurus rocks. What if everyone laughs at us when they see these dreadful drawings? That thought made Ernie's face turn redder with embarrassment. Then embarrassment turned to anger. Do you know that feeling? When you ever get so frustrated with something you're working on that you get angry about it? You call that a straight line? It's too curvy, Ernie said. Rub-a-dub-a-rub went Ernie, and Linus's line was gone. Linus drew more, but Ernie flipped. You can't even make a stick figure. Oh, I don't know, said Linus. I like this one. No, trust me, said Ernie. So Linus tried again and again, but it was no use. Ernie didn't like a single mark Linus made. Rub-a-dub-a-rub went Ernie, and Linus's lines were gone. Soon all of Linus's drawings were gone. How could they enter the contest now? Linus watched from the sidelines as his family prepared for the show. He saw Brush, here's Brush, painted a beautiful painting. She was so proud, working so freely and happily. Must be nice to brush those cares aside, he thought, bristling with envy. Ink saying, stay loose. We got red paint over here saying, I love her color choices. And orange paint saying, you are always gushing to red paint. Penn produced wonderful and surprising things for the show. Thanks, Linus. He says, think ink. Crayons created colorfully. But because Ernie doubted him, Linus began to doubt himself too. And that felt worse than anything. We should just skip the show, Ernie said. The thought broke the heart of them both in two. Maybe Ernie's right. I'm not an artist, Linus sighed. I should stop drawing. Maybe Linus is right after all, Ernie sighed. What if I'm ruining everything? Frustrated, Linus and Ernie were drawing to the very edge. But at the edge, Linus saw a cave. Feeling dull, he went inside. It's a big pencil sharpener. It might be hard to see that in the back. It's a pencil sharpener. And saw something in the darkness there. Who are you? Linus asked the thing in the darkness. There's something lurking over here. Looks like maybe a big pile of pencil shavings.
I am Smudge,
The thing said.
you look a bit worn down. What troubles you?
I'm no artist. I'm going to quit drawing, Linus said.
I was once part of many pencils before you.
Smudge began.
You might say you are of my lineage, but look at me now. I am truly unable to draw. Instead, I wait here in the darkness. But you, there is still time. You must go on.
But Ernie, he's my eraser. He really rubs me the wrong way.
Let the eraser erase. It is no matter,
Smudge said.
Find your path by drawing it. Now, go. Get that lead out.
Linus burst from the cave, feeling sharper than ever. And just like Smudge told him to, he drew, and he drew, and he started squiggles and scribbles, and then a smudge, and an idea blossomed in Linus. Erase just a little, Ernie, Linus said. Hey, something new, said Linus. I like it. Me too, said Ernie. Rub-a-dub-a-rub. Now the lines were Linus's and Ernie's. Linus was inspired. They drew wildly and joyfully together. It was the most fun either one of them had ever had. Welcome to the Family Art Show. Until at last it was opening night. Everyone was there. The line to get in went around the block. Linus and Ernie's work drew a crowd. Their art had the most heart. Remarkable, said the marker. Linus and Ernie lined happily ever after. The blend. And that is the tale of Linus, the little yellow pencil. Yeah, double-sided. It's got an eraser side and a pencil side. Good observation. Yeah, they learn to work in concert with one another. All right, let's all join together in singing our children and youth out to an all-ages youth activity.
Giving is a spiritual practice through which we put our values into action. Each Sunday, our congregation dedicates 100% of its contributions to a local social justice organization or activity. In addition to the plate, online giving is available using the QR code on the donations box just outside the sanctuary or using the text instructions shown on the screen. If you wish to make a payment toward your pledge or contribute to the church operations, make a note in the subject line or use an envelope available at the donation box. This week, we are happy to once again have Community Essential Jericho Road, Pasadena with us as our offertory recipient. And our equally delighted Jericho Road Executive Director, Kim Olpen, has returned to speak on their behalf. Kim?
Thank you, May. Good morning, everyone. Wow, there is more of you here today. I'm very glad to be back with you guys today, with all of you today. Thank you for asking me back to speak about Jericho Road, Pasadena. I know it's a really big day for all of you today, so I promise to be brief. But I do want to tell you about the impact Jericho Road, Pasadena has on our local community and encourage you to continue to support us. So as most of you know, we were founded right here in 2010 by people from this very church. We match volunteers with local nonprofit organizations for short-term projects. And this helps nonprofits, I can get that out, access skilled volunteers who they might not be able to afford otherwise, so they can then serve their communities better. I've seen firsthand how NUUC has helped the local community through Jericho Road. Today is April 30th, the final day of Volunteer Appreciation Month. And so I want to say thank you to all of you who've helped JRP in the past, because there's a number of you. So if you've done any of the following, I'd like to, I hope you'll indulge me just a little bit, and I'd like to ask you to either please raise your hand or stand up so that we can thank you for the volunteer work you've done. So if anyone here currently was one of the founders of Jericho Road or on the founding steering committee, would you please stand up? I'm not sure. Yes. Thank you. If you're comfortable, please stay standing. Anyone who has ever served on the Jericho Road Board of Directors or currently on the Board of Directors. And then anyone who's volunteered with Jericho Road or through Jericho Road for any projects, and I know there's definitely more of you here. Yeah, thank you. And finally, anyone who's joined a board or gone through our board training program. Yes, awesome, so thank you. Yeah, thank you all. You can sit down now, I promise that's all. So thank you so much. So there's been a number of you, and I know there's even more that aren't here today. So NUUC has been very important to JRP in the past, present, and hopefully the future. We're really grateful for your support, and we're always looking for new ways to support our nonprofit partners, to be strong and to do the work that they do in the community. We can only support our nonprofits with your help. We still need your help in continuing to support our community. When you donate to JRP, you're not just helping us, but you're helping the nonprofits that we work with in the community as a whole. So your contribution goes a long way to making a really positive impact in our community. So thank you so much for having me here. And once again, thank you to everyone who has supported the community through JRP. I hope you have a wonderful day. I'll be on the patio later to chat, but I understand if you're focusing on other things afterwards. So thank you all very much and have a wonderful day.
May the volunteers please come forward. Thank you in advance for giving generously.
Hallelujah.
The month of April, we have celebrated resistance as we close our week of getting to know each other on this phase of our journey, our individual journeys and our collective journeys. I'd like to affirm how resilience built on trust and supportive community, it helps us in all of life's journeys. I'd like to share a poem, a prayer, written by my colleague, the Reverend Angela Herrera. She wrote it in Spanish and in English, and I'll be reading in that order today. I invite you into a space of centering and rootedness. If it feels right to you, please close your eyes. Sitting tall, letting your breath guide you into a stillness as we reflect. Oración para los viajeros. Esta oración es para todos los viajeros, para los que comienzan en la belleza y caen de la gracia, quienes caminan tímidamente buscando la manera de volver, y para los que nacen en los márgenes, viajando de un lugar liminal a otro, cruzando fronteras en busca del centro. Esta es una oración para aquellos cuyo nacimiento es el paso de oscuridad a oscuridad, aquellos que se sientan atraídos por la luz y avanzan hacia ella, y para aquellos cuyas jornadas son un camino sinuoso que comienza y termina en el mismo lugar, aunque solo al terminar sabrán por fin dónde están. Para todos los viajeros jóvenes y viejos, dolientes y alegres, cansados y llenos de vida, los presentes y los ausentes, los que son como tú y todos son como tú, y los que son distintos, porque de alguna manera todos viajamos solos. Esta es una oración por la misericordia, para que andes con pie firme y visión clara, por el pan para tu cuerpo y tu espíritu, por el agua, para que llegues seguro, y para todos aquellos que encuentres en el camino. This is a prayer for all of the travelers, for the ones who start out in beauty, who fall from grace, who step gingerly looking for the way back, and for those who are born in the margins, who travel from one liminal space to another, crossing boundaries in search of center. This is a prayer for the ones whose births are a passing from darkness to darkness, who all their lives are drawn toward the light and keep moving. And for those whose journeys are a winding road that begins and ends in the same place, though only when the journey is completed do they finally know where they are. For all the travelers, young and old, aching and joyful, weary and full of life, the ones who are here and the ones who are not here, the ones who are like you and they're all like you, and the ones who are different, for in some ways we each travel alone. This is a prayer for traveling mercies and sure-footedness, for clear vision, for bread, for your body and spirit, for water, for your safe arrival, and for everyone you see along the way. Amen. What a joy to be here and see so many faces I've met this week. It is lovely. Today marks the end of a journey of sorts for this congregation. It's been going on for a few years. Years of learning and reconciliation and cottage meetings and surveys, maybe a potluck or two. I don't want to overstate the importance of this particular journey. There will be other beginnings and there will be other endings and other journeys and other committees and other cottage meetings, probably a survey or two and some more potlucks. But today is important. It is important enough to pause and lean into this special moment. It is auspicious, too, that it is the last day of April, the day before May Day, Beltane, festival of the beginning of spring and summer, a festival of new beginnings, when in some places in the world, the sprites and the fairies are appeased by dancing by midnight fires, where flower-adorned garlands drape around the necks of livestock as they're turned out of the villages to follow paths to pastures that are rich and green. In what seems like another lifetime ago, in a time pre-pandemic, I went out to lunch with my dear friend. That day, she and I walked through the line at the buffet. We were chatting about which appetizers were going to accompany us back to our table. And my friend said, out of the blue, suddenly pointing at her feet, "Look, I'm wearing my Camino de Santiago boots today. I have felt so powerful all day, like I could do anything." I laughed because I knew exactly what she meant. I had the same feeling when I put on my well-worn hiking boots. I actually exclaimed to her there next to the buffet, "I know. When I wear mine, I feel like I'm coming home." And then I stopped right there next to the desserts. How curious. Why would I equate wearing my hiking boots, a symbol of movement and of travel, of adventure and activity, to coming home? I've thought a lot about why I would exclaim that to her, my friend, a feeling of being home in my hiking boots. And I think now it's a lot less about adventure backpacking, but more like a symbolic learning about myself and my place in the world, wherever my literal place in the world might be. In the spring of 2015, so 8 years ago in May, about 4 years before that buffet experience I was describing, one of my final duties while teaching at Marquette University was to lead a group of undergraduate students through northern Spain on the Camino de Santiago, the Way of St. James. This Catholic pilgrimage route dates back to the Middle Ages when the devout, looking for absolution of their sins, began their arduous treks from all over Europe to the buried remains of St. James the Apostle in Santiago, Spain. And now there are many different paths that cross Spain to get there, the most popular being the French route, which extends across the northern part of Spain, starting in the mountains of France and going across the plains and ending in Galicia, the Iberian Peninsula crossed by this path. That area of the world originally inhabited centuries ago by Celtic explorers. Our group from Marquette would be doing only a portion, not the whole thing, about 250 miles or so. You'd be right, thinking this would be a responsibility that would require the help of some serious moral support. I managed to convince 2 friends to travel with me, the one from the lunch buffet and another mutual friend. We prepared to set off in May, and throughout the whole spring leading up to the journey, our group grew in number, a Milwaukeean fellowship of the Camino. The group consisted of a fellow Marquette professor who was also a Methodist minister, his daughter, my 2 friends from Milwaukee, my college roommate from San Francisco who decided to join us, my father, and a group of ill-prepared undergraduate Marquette students, most of whom who did not speak Spanish or hike. They had youth on their side. The dynamics of this group is enough to fill an entire other sermon. I won't go into those details there. In order to prepare for walking for every day for weeks, we had studied maps and we had purchased new hiking boots and we had gone on long walks at home in the previous months, backpacks filled with sacks of potatoes and canned goods to mimic carrying the loads of clothes and toiletries that we would need on the Camino route. I had lived in Spain before, so I was appointed tour leader and translator. So I prepared our route. I made arrangements. As we got closer to departure, we weighed our backpacks, squirting out half tubes of toothpaste just to give up a few ounces so maybe we could carry an extra pair of socks or something. In other words, we packed with a capital P. Now, a few words about packing. Some of us are great at it. Some of us are expert packers with a capital P. We neatly fold our clothes into our backpacks and suitcases. Some of us go the extra mile and put them in Ziploc bags and squeeze the air out. Some of us create elaborate itineraries. And then there are the others of us who throw it in a bag and hope for the best. I'm usually somewhere in the middle. Being responsible, though, for that group of people, I went the extra mile and I planned for everything, every eventuality. My backpack was perfectly packed. It was a thing of beauty. No pocket under or overutilized. Now, I want you to hold in your mind the image of the last packed suitcase or backpack you created. What did it look like? How well was it packed? Not all of us have traveled, and certainly we know that not all travel is the privileged or desired travel of a chosen pilgrimage. But I want you to hold in your mind the image of the last backpack that you packed, and we'll return to that in a moment. A pilgrimage differs in its intentionality from other kinds of travel. Cheryl Kujawa shares in her book Pilgrimage, The Sacred Art, that there are 3 major phases of a pilgrimage: separation, transition, and incorporation. In a pilgrimage, you need separation from your daily life, your daily routine, so that you can focus only on your immediate needs, to give time for contemplation. It is meant to be a spiritual journey after all. This allows for your brain to settle, for your spirit to blossom, for letting yourself investigate, to feel those emotions that maybe you don't always feel. This meant on the Camino a limit to clothing, a limit to shoes, to the decisions about route. In fact, the route is marked by little yellow arrows or the white Viera scallop shell of the pilgrim. In the event that you are lost in thought while walking, stop. Look around, find the shell or the arrow, and keep walking. Continue. If only the rest of our journeys in life were so easily marked. The transition phase, phase 2, the second phase, on a pilgrimage happens somewhere about the time you become annoyed with your journey. Those are my words, not Cheryl Kujawa's. It's that moment when you find yourself distracted, and you know it, and you lose a little patience with yourself because you've realized that you are distracted. Maybe it's the moment when you think you just can't anymore. Maybe it's the moment that you think, this isn't worth it. I could Uber. Those of us who have born children may recognize transition, the moment in childbirth where we think, perhaps it will never end, or that we're just not up to it, so if we could just stop for now, that would be great. For me, on the Camino, my moment of transition happened when I had the realization that I was becoming annoyed with the frequent greetings of other pilgrims on the trail. You see, the customary greeting on the Camino is buen camino, buen camino. In English, this might translate to have a good walk, or enjoy your walk, or happy paths to you, something like have a good day or bon voyage, but it's rooted in a very particular context. It can be used as a hello, it can be used as a goodbye, and the sheer numbers of people, largely international, intergenerational, and multilingual, we only share that one phrase. Every time we cross paths every day meant that I heard this greeting constantly. I started saying it in different voices, just for variety. I sang it, buen camino. I mumbled it. I dreamed buen camino at night in the hostels as I slept. And last, the third phase of the pilgrimage is incorporation. It happens not usually when we think it should. We think it happens upon arrival at our destination. I thought it would happen to me when I walked into Santiago and I saw the cathedral where St. James' remains are buried. I was wrong. I expected that to be the moment of enlightenment. That was not the end of the journey. What I didn't realize until much later was that what happened after reaching that destination was the most challenging phase of the pilgrimage, because coming home meant unpacking. Now return to the image of the last suitcase you packed. There are tutorials for how to pack well. There are no tutorials for how to unpack well. What did that suitcase look like when you returned home? Was everything still meticulously folded and clean, souvenirs neatly wrapped? Perhaps for some of us, that's true. My backpack, when it came home, was overstuffed. It was dirty. There was items bulging out of the pockets. In fact, I had to buy a second bag in Spain to carry some of the things that I had acquired along the way. It just didn't fit in the same bag on the way home. Why do we expect it to fit the same way when we finish our journey? If we are privileged to be taking a trip that we have planned for, we can be meticulous in our packing and in our preparation, but too often on our return from our journeys, we don't give ourselves the time, the energy to incorporate what we learn back into our lives. We just expect that we'll all fit neatly again. And instead, we are faced with a hard process of beauty, but also painful recalibration. Coming home from a pilgrimage is like the end or incorporation stage of any journey. We unpack the untidy, and bulging suitcases that we've filled along the way. And if we are lucky, if we are blessed, if we do our work, if we have anything gained, we struggle really with the problem of abundance after a journey like a pilgrimage. We pull things that we have learned out of those bulging pockets, and we try and find a new home for them in our lives. We carefully unwrap all of the delicate souvenirs. Sometimes those take the form of actual keepsakes, but for a spiritual journey, these can be delicate realizations about ourselves, about our community, about our newfound desires and directions for our lives, a greater sense of belonging that also brings with it potentially precarious renegotiations with people and the world around us. For me, the end of that pilgrimage meant ending my career at that university and beginning a new path rooted in my faith tradition. For me, the end of one literal pilgrimage was the beginning of an entirely different journey. And to this day, I continue to unpack from that experience. I've had to discard items that don't fit, making difficult choices about new learnings and new perceptions. I have also rejoiced and been made more whole than I was before. This congregation, you all, have spent years now preparing for an arrival at a destination. Perhaps that has been like the first two phases of a pilgrimage in which you have been separated from your aspirational vision of yourselves a little bit, which you have learned to transition your thinking about yourselves, the work that this congregation has done in the world, the ways that are truly meaningful and how you have created and you will continue to create community for one another. Perhaps these phases have revealed surprising truths, reconciliations that need to be faced, healing, hopefully also some joy at honoring your past and a celebration of making it to where you are now. You have done this as a fellowship, a community gathered with shared objectives. I see you. I affirm you. A fellowship of skilled lay leaders, members of the board, your transitional minister also, Reverend Teresa, of a pastoral care team who has loved you through grief and loss and also celebration. A fellowship of staff, of teachers and musicians and custodians and others, all united in making us safer, in teaching us how to be together and being stewards of these sacred spaces where we are today. I have seen this mutual care this week with every group I have met, the Seventh Principle Project folks, the young adults, I see you, the Dirt Divas, the neighborhood people of color group with whom I met. I saw it when I spoke with you, kids of this congregation. If you're still in the room, I saw you. I met your parents, and some of you, I met your grandparents. A commitment to care and nurturing. I see this of making the path of our shared journey more spiritually nourishing and safer now, and also in preparation for those who might come after us. You have all helped reach a destination today. But I assure you, the learnings will continue for a long time. And now, for phase 3 of your journey, the incorporation of what you have learned, the unpacking. Every journey, even this one, however uncertain, will lead us to a place of greater understanding and spiritual fulfillment as we unpack all that we have gathered and stashed into our backpacks along the way. As Linus the pencil in today's story was told, we make our path by drawing it together. A multitude of lines on a map, trails leading us together to new ways of joyful meaning-making, but together. There and back again. The destination has been reached, but the journey is just beginning. The learnings, the new understandings, these will unfold for us throughout the rest of our lives. Buen camino. we may say that to each other, buen camino. And in truth, it is a buen camino, indeed. May it be so.
Our closing hymn is number 1028 in your teal hymnal or on the screens above. Please rise in body or in spirit and join us in singing number 1028, The Fire of Commitment.
Caminante, no hay camino, se hace camino al andar. Wanderer, there is no one road. You make your own path as you travel. We extinguish our chalice today as a symbol of reaching our destination and also in profound excitement for the journeys ahead. May we trust in our traveling companions, knowing that our transformation in a shared community is as important as reaching the destination itself. May we find more learnings, more resilience, more spiritual nourishment, and more joy in the paths that we create together. May it be so. Amen y buen camino.
if you are staying here for the vote, please go outside and get your ballot if you have not already, and come back here. We're going to start the meeting at 11:30. If you are online, we're switching over from YouTube to Zoom. The Zoom link is in either the newsletter or today's Sunday announcement, and you can vote online as well. Again, we're starting at 11:30. See you all then. Thank you.